Right, guys. So in this video, I wanted to sort of start like my prep series because I'm 8 weeks out. So one thing I'm going to do is just like have some sit down, talking about how training is going, talk about like a different training session, over the week, in particular, like how it felt, and answer like a few questions that I typically get, such things on my mind. So I'm going to talk about today's session. So today was my primary deadlift day. So I do my primary deadlifts on Wednesday. Today I had a top double at RPE 7, back down sets with 3x7 at minus 20%. Then I had a 2x10 on RDLs. So today, honestly, this is like the first day I have felt strong on a lift, like kind of like myself, since I've been sick. I've been getting repeatedly sick throughout this winter, and now thankfully it's getting warmer. It's now summer or spring, so like it's just like it's getting quite more warm. So I tend to notice I feel better with that. Also with like now it's good day at settings and like time is like it's brighter later. That helps with my mood a lot. I find it does help with my training. But today, basically I worked up to 617 for 2 at RPE 7. Then I did 507 for a 3x7 at RPE like sub 5, which is basically, you know, about a 17 to 22 pound increase on my deadlift in a week, basically at the same RPE. So that's awesome. And something that I do whenever I am basically selecting weights is, especially on my primary days, I kind of know about where my strength is based off of a certain warm-up weight. So for me, about how 550 moves, I kind of can tell like if it's going to be a strong day or not. And I know that basically my max fluctuates anywhere between 683 to 716. So when I am picking a range of weights that I'm going to use for that day, I basically go into like an RPE percent calculator and say, okay, so 86%, for example, is a top double at RPE 7. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take like anywhere between what I get from like 683 to 716, say, okay, it's going to be within that range. Then based off of warm, so like is today an average day, below average day, or an above average day? And today was more of an above average day, so I put the top end of my range, and it moved really, really well. And then I'm really enjoying the switch to conventional. I think that I am, like my hip position is basically like the exact same on sumo and conventional, and I'm just in a better position. I just grind better, my starting position is better. It feels better, and so again, I think I'm going to still stick with this until my meet. I think it's just going to put me in a better spot. I'm still learning how to wedge and how to have the proper positioning with heavier weights, but it's going really well so far, so I'm really excited about that. Then I didn't film this, but I did 4 sets of single arm lat pull downs. I did 3 sets of dumbbell hammer curls, and then I did 3 sets of rear delts, and then 3 sets of abs after. Session took me about 2 hours. I did some cardio after, which is for 30 minutes. I still do cardio. I think that's really important for strength athletes to still have a cardiovascular base. Beyond just walking, helps you recover in between sets, keeps you a little bit leaner, and improves your work capacity. And really, like, you can do, as long as you're doing like low intensity steady state zone 2 cardio, which basically be 120, 140 beats per minute, which would, like, you don't have a heart rate monitor, it's basically like you're starting to sweat. It's definitely a little bit challenging, but you can still hold a conversation. That's about what zone 2 cardio is. And doing that at least twice a week for 20 to 30 minutes is a pretty good thing to start getting the habit of. You also notice your body composition tends to improve. So basically what I'm planning on for like the rest of the block is, again, I'm still going to use that same range that I know where I'm at right now based off of how performance is with, knowing, okay, like, this is my double. And what I basically do each block, because at my current level of advancement, I'm about an intermediate level of progression when I do everything right. A really good rate of progress for me on squat and deadlift is 5 pounds a month. And then on bench press, it's about 2.5 pounds a month. So when I am sort of bumping up my numbers, I will basically say, okay, for each block, I'm going to add about 5 pounds to that range I have. It's like 683, 716. So the next block is going to be 689 and 722. And the other block is going to be, that's all I won't really have, because I'm just doing 2 blocks going into this meet when I'm picking weights. So that's also like a good note about realistic rates of progress. But that's how I sort of will, adjust upward and downward my estimated maxes, because like, I think one of the things that people try to do when they're doing like wrong is they walk like their peak strength levels when they're trying to plan weights or progress them, and that's just not how this stuff works. Like, your strength is going to fluctuate, and overload is a range. You're down, some days are below average, some days are above average. Most of the time, you're going to be pretty average. And so, being like having a range of like RPE, like plus or minus, what I recommend is like 3%. So basically, if you look into RPE, you're like, okay, I can like deadlift 700 pounds, and then you're like, okay, well, whatever RPE says that for stuff, like if you're doing like a set of 5 RPE sections, like 76%, like say that gives you 500. And you go plus or minus 3%, you go 485 to 515, and then anywhere in that range of like that max is acceptable stimulus. You are in a lot less control when your body adapts than you think. The only thing you can really do is just create the right environment for progress, and then basically just work with your body. That's like you can't force the progress. You have to, like harder is not better. It's just not like above RPE 8, you're probably leaving some, you're having to compromise the stimulus to fatigue. So, yeah, that's sort of how I think things and how I progress through things. Now, I did get one question from a client that I thought was really good about static versus progressive RPEs. And basically, what that model is like. So what I do with a lot of my clients, I'll have like a wave loading structure of RPE. So it goes like, say, week 1 RPE 6, week 2 RPE 7, week 3 RPE 7.5, and week 4 RPE 8. And that's going to be basically a progressive RPE model. And there's also a static RPE model, which is like, say, like a set of 7. It's just like a set at RPE 7, like throughout the entire block. And sort of like what's the advantages of both, and like what's the cons, like what would I use each? So with a static RPE model, I would use that more for somebody that has more of a variable like schedule, like more variable performance. Basically if you work in the hospital or you have a very hectic lifestyle and your performance fluctuates quite a bit, it's probably going to be hard for us to pre-plan in a progression where you're going to, be able to go RPE 6, 7, 7.5, 8, and hopefully be at a higher max and be able to more predict your good performance. Whereas if you're working in a hospital, you have a variable shift schedule, whatever, you have a lot less control over your recovery variables and coming into the session. So for people that have more of a, static schedule, it's not a lot of variability in fatigue patterns. You get the same amount of sleep, same amount of calories, similar stress levels day to day. I think in general a progressive RPE, is better because you're going to be able to make a little more progress, better manage fatigue, get into a better peak condition, I think, at the end. Whereas if you are somebody that has a more of a hectic lifestyle, you have variable shifts, you are not in a lot of control of your recovery variables because of factors outside of your control. That's when I would use like a static RPE model and just basically just list, tell them to like ride the waves of fatigue on days they feel really strong, days that they feel really, really weak. And then basically have a percentage back down based off of that. And then we can just look over time, over the aggregate about, how much are we going up over time. But that's essentially like what I would use a static versus a progressive. Again, for most people, I'm going to use a progressive because most people aren't like EMTs or working in the hospital. But, if you find yourself in a hectic period of life, like maybe having more of a static RPE, like top set model, maybe you just progress your down sets, based off of the estimated 1 max on that day. That's what I would do. So, and with all my clients too, I give them like an estimate 1RM calculator. So I can plug in their top set and they can say, okay, based off my RPE, what's my max on the day? And it's pretty accurate. So that's essentially why I would use that. So currently, and one last thing is I am currently using MacroFactor to track my nutrition. And that is an app that is basically created by Greg Knuckles, or Trucks, or Jeff Nippard, started over by Science, basically. I've been using that for my bulk for the past few months, and I'm happy to announce I am now an affiliate with MacroFactor. So if you use Peeler, when you guys get MacroFactor at checkout, you're going to get a 2-week free trial and then half off your subscription for a year if you decide to go that way. I really like it because it tracks expenditure. I think it's very accurate with its calorie surpluses. So a lot of apps don't get right is that the net metabolizable energy density, basically how much energy it takes to build a pound of muscle, is different than a pound of body fat. So pound of body fat is about 3,500 calories, but as muscle is about 2,000 to 2,800 calories. And MacroFactor has an algorithm that basically is a little bit better for that. Another thing that I really like about it too is that it tracks your expenditure. So, for example, if you have a consistent level of steps per day, which you should, so you're eating 10K steps per day, you train 5 days a week, your MacroFactor is going to give you your average energy expenditure with like a flux range, basically like how much it varies day to day based off of the scale weight change. And it also gives you a snapshot or like the month of like what's the difference in scale weight. Like, so for example, This past month, I'm up like 0.8 pounds, which is awesome. Like that's still really good. Like when I'm bulking, I'm looking for 1 to 2 pounds per month of basically tissue gained. And that's basically about as fast as you can really gain without spilling over into body fat. So it's awesome. You can also use like a barcode scanner. It's like the most comprehensive app out there. So I'm happy now. So I'm now partner with them. So if you guys want to use that, you guys can check that out. Link down below. But I think that's it for the video. I've been rambling for long enough. Hope you guys liked it. And if you guys have any questions, let me know anything you guys want me to talk about in the next video. I'll probably do weekly installments of this. But yeah, talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.